He wasn't positive, but Tom was pretty sure that this wasn't what pot was supposed to feel like. He'd never smoked any before, but people had told him what it felt like, and this wasn't it. The room was swaying around him, and funny colored lights were dancing about the room, which he thought, rather muddily, was what acid was supposed to do, not grass. His stomach was beginning to dance in his middle. "Whoa," he said, and sat down abruptly on the couch behind him. The room seemed to telescope around him, and sounds and faces appeared as if through a very long tunnel. This might not have been such a good idea, he thought. He really shouldn't have let Paul talk him into it. In fact, as the colored lights began to obscure the entire room, he began to wish he'd never let Jack and Paul talk him into coming to this party. At the time, it had seemed the best way to meet people. He'd only moved to Harding 2 weeks ago, and he had been awfully lonely until he'd met Jack and Paul at school last week. They'd convinced him to come to the party, and then convinced him to try one of the new joints Reggie had just bought in New York yesterday. "Hey, Tom, what's the matter? Can't handle a little good feeling?" asked one of the guys on Tom's left. "I'm fine, just thought I'd sit down and enjoy the rush," lied Tom, trying to save face. The world began to spin. Voices and sounds filled the air around him. The partiers laughing and joking, the music rushing in waves upon his head. His whole body seemed to be undulating in time to the rather retro, psychedelic-like rhythm that was gushing out of the 14-inch speakers in the corners. When he turned his head toward the speakers, it was as if the tunnel was a reverse megaphone channeling the sound. It made him even dizzier. As the rush grew, the room and its occupants seemed to fade from view, the tunnel dimming, turning gray. Within a few minutes he was unable to see anyone in the room, or the room itself for that matter. He could feel it, and the music, but colored lights swirled and danced around him as his soul seemed to expand and shrink around his body with the music.